You heard me correctly. It's sleeping on elephant dung. When you stand next to an eland, you would be towered by them. The rain has finally cleared and I can see the sun poking up just behind the ridge. My name is Taylor and I'm out here at Welgevonden after a couple of big thunderstorms. The river crossings are all full and I cannot go and wait to see what they are like. But I was hoping to find lions first thing this morning, and instead we have a black-back jackal, and it is fast asleep on a pile of dung. Yep, you heard me correctly. It's sleeping on elephant dung. I think that's rather clever because the ground is completely saturated, the grass is so wet, and who wants to sleep in something like that? So the dung is now raised off the ground. It's not fresh dung, so sadly for this jackal, it's not generating any heat. That could have been quite nice. A poop electric blanket. Wow, sounds fascinating. Would any of you try that? Probably not, but anyways, the jackal is. And it's curled up in the tightest little ball. Now, I'm sure it's drenched as well and feeling a bit on the chilly side. Gert and I had a very interesting experience this morning as we left camp. Apparently, this vehicle forms waterfalls, which I didn't think was possible. So, Jackal, we feel you. We are also drenched and also cold. Just behind me is a group of eland bulls with a couple of zebra. And you'll notice just how large they are with those big humps on their backs and all that loose skin around their necks. They are enormous creatures, and I'm sure by now you all know that it is the largest antelope in Africa. Now, when you're in a vehicle, they don't look as big, but I can promise you, when you stand next to an eland, you would be towered by them. Not just because of their shoulder height and their head, but they've got those beautiful long horns that stretch all the way out with slight little twists in them. And they're an animal not to be messed with. But they seem to thrive here at Welgevonden. It's sort of the perfect habitat. They can survive in very arid environments, but of course they're appreciative of the grass after all of the rain. 3 rhinos walking in a straight line. Isn't it funny how animals are much better than us at humans at walking in straight lines? And this road is, well, it's not really wide enough for the 3 of them to walk next to one another. But the rhino bull at the back is not particularly old. There you can see as he tried to sneak to the left of that female how much bigger she is. So this is a sub-adult male. I highly doubt that it could be her calf, maybe, but he's kind of getting a bit big to be hanging around. We're very lucky to see rhinos with horns because for the most part, reserves and national parks have taken on the, I suppose, precaution and removing the tips of the horns of the rhino. So they're not completely taking the horn off. There are nerve endings and lots of blood vessels. So think of it like when you clip your dog's nails, for an example. You don't want to clip the quick, and that's what the veterinarians don't want to do either. We've got beautiful lioness tracks in the mud this morning, and they look incredibly fresh. Now, I suppose in this area, it's probably the Western Pride lionesses, but I want to have a closer look at those tracks. Firstly, look at how enormous this footprint is in comparison to my hand. Not big enough to be a male lion track, but the girls here are big. I actually have not seen big lionesses like this in a very, very long time. But also we have to take into consideration, we had so much rain yesterday, so it's very muddy. So of course, as they step, and actually over here, you can sort of see how the toes have slipped and moved forward. So it could be quite tricky. Some people may even confuse this for a young male lion. It seems as though Shaka, the male lion, and as well as the two lionesses from the Western Pride have moved off into the ridges and down into the valleys. And it's a little bit wet to drive all of the roads, but that's okay. We'll try again a little bit later. Thank you so much for joining us on our sunrise safari, and we'll be back out in this afternoon.